meteorologist Oscar Fann in for Matthew Wine one more night. You see, as that cold front has moved through earlier today, it has turned noticeably colder. Clearing skies tonight. Look for freeze warnings for Tuesday and Wednesday morning. Good evening. I'm in for Matthew Wine one more night. You know, what a pleasant evening. I just had a nice meal outside, took in the ambience, and of course I'm full of it, as you well know. It is rather chilly out there. This is a front that's departing. We still got a few clouds. Actually, the winds had died down a little bit, but they picked back up again in the last hour at around 20-mile-an-hour gusts. We'll have more on the horrible weather coming up in a few minutes. But first, Mike Gurspan straight ahead with Fox News 34. Live at 9.
Live, covering the Wiregrass. This is Fox 34 News at 9.
Yes, indeed. Well, good evening. Welcome to the Fox 34 News at 9. I'm Mike Gurspan. Thanks for choosing us as your early local news source. Well, in tonight's top headlines making news across the Wiregrass, state and nation. Holiday airport travel is up, but so are COVID cases, an unhealthy combination from this past weekend. The president is threatening to veto the U.S. defense bill if there's an attempt to rename military bases. And learn how a state initiative is working to keep folks shopping local in Alabama. Fox 34's Sara Wilson with that story. Folks, will have additional information on these top headlines throughout our hour-long broadcast. Well, at 5:30 tonight, the Walton County Emergency Management Office activated a cold weather emergency shelter. It will close at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's expected to reopen at 5:30 tomorrow night, both tonight and tomorrow evening. The National Weather Service predicts a temperature of below 40 degrees in Walton County. At this time, the Wiernicki Springs Community Center has been converted into a warming station. Now, for more information on the number as far as the Walton County EOC is on your screen, and depending on the weather, additional shelter nights could be extended if the frigid temps continue. And moving across the state line now, the Circle City is preparing to take care without a roof over their heads, or simply they're without adequate heat. Beginning at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, the city of Dothan will provide space for those in need of a warm place to stay. The warming station will be in a building on the grounds of the First Baptist Church of Dothan off of Main Street. City officials say they'll be prepared to whether it's one person or a few dozen, all seeking refuge from old man winter's bite.
We don't want you to be cold, so come. So the expectations is A, you're going to be loved and welcomed. You're not looked down upon because we get it. Everyone can go through this at a time in their life, and we want you safe and loved.
Now, as of now, the warming center hours will run from 7 o'clock Tuesday night till 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. This is Cyber Monday, a day where shoppers are encouraged to buy online, but it also wrapped up a weekend of Christmas shopping stemming from Black Friday and Shop Local Saturday. Fox 34's Allison Fox O'Connor with the dollar and cents details.
Small Business Saturday recently ending, I wanted to check in with our local businesses to find out how they were faring as 2020 comes to a close and how they were preparing for the last month of the holiday season. There is no argument that 2020 has been a difficult year on everyone, but especially on local businesses. It has become a second nature for people to search online, hit order, and have their purchases arrive right to their homes. But local businesses are still reeling from the temporary closures back in the spring.
Staffing for this fall has been a challenge. Trucking for both sides, for our retail and our wholesale, has been a challenge. There's supply chain issues. I just got a notice that the glass for our quart jars, they're out.
The Shoot Pecan Company is just one of the many local businesses that felt the effects of this year. But they are grateful that the Wiregrass community came together to help them stay afloat after their closure in April.
Our May numbers were much better than 2019. And I think that was just people being intentional about coming to shop with local businesses.
Hodge explained that Shop Local Saturday was a huge success and that the company is looking forward to seeing more people and orders as the holidays get closer.
But for me, the love we feel, the boost that we get from people just making that choice, making a choice to come in and shop with us, that means the world to our staff and to me.
So maybe think about shopping local when you're out looking for that last-minute gift for the holiday season. Covering Dothan, I'm Allison Fox O'Connor, Fox 34 News at 9.
And earlier this year, Governor Kay Ivey announced the Keep Alabama Open initiative. its mission to keep the doors open to small businesses during the pandemic. In fact, today, Fox 34's Sara Wilson spoke to the owners of one small Dothan business reaping the benefits of that support.
Hot chocolates ready?
The pandemic has taken a toll on several businesses. It forced them to shut down, lose employees and customers. But with the Keep Alabama Open initiative, a joint effort with the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and Business Council of Alabama, this is a way to show their support for these businesses, like Bird and Bean Coffee.
It's really encouraging to see that kind of support and a push to protect us while also protecting the public. And so it's cool to have that kind of like symbiosis of like protecting others while also supporting the local economy.
This initiative will allow the Business Council of Alabama to unite Alabamians who have put themselves on the front line and continue to open back up, all while still protecting residents. Bird and Bean does just that by requiring all of their customers and employees to wear masks and putting marks on the floor so customers can social distance.
Yes, I just want to thank the public, of Dothan and Alabama for supporting us throughout this time. Your presence keeps our spirits bright.
Bird and Bean sends out a special thanks to Alabama for standing with them during this tough time and residents for continuing to support them. And next time you're downtown, try their hot chocolate.
Hot chocolates ready?
In Dothan, Sara Wilson, Fox 34 News at 9.
And it should be pointed out, Sara did not bring us any hot chocolate back to the studio. Yes, I know, Oscar, she didn't. State and local officials posthumously honored late Hartford Mayor and Councilman Ira Sorrells. This summer, the 79-year-old Hartford native died after contracting COVID-19. In his honor, a maple tree was planted between the Johnny Hughes Community Center and the Hartford Senior Center. For Sorrells' family, it was truly a special moment. They say the late mayor loved his hometown and its people.
Well, Daddy was born and raised in Hartford, grew up here, raised a family here, built a business here, and then when he retired, had the opportunity to come back and work in the city. And he loved the people here, he loved the town, and wanted to do everything that he could to try to make it a better place for everybody.
In years to come, the maple tree in honor of the late mayor is expected to grow to 60 feet high or even possibly higher than that. Besides the annual Hoops Downtown Christmas Classic and the National Peanut Festival, let's add now another casualty of the COVID-19 pandemic here in Dothan. The crew of Colossus has decided to cancel February 2021's Mardi Gras parade, which winds through several Dothan neighborhoods. Parade organizers met with city officials and felt it was best to cancel the event due to mainly close proximity of the crowds. It would be nearly impossible to social distance. Now, while the parade has been canceled, the Mardi Gras ball has been postponed, but no date has been set at this time. Turning to crime news at this time. With speeds exceeding 120 miles per hour, a high-speed pursuit began in eastern Covington County, ended with the arrest of the driver in Elba. Around 1:30 this afternoon, the suspect in a white Jeep refused to pull over for a state trooper. The chase proceeded eastward along the U.S. Highway 84 bypass. At one point, Opp and Elba police units joined the chase. The suspect was apprehended near Highway 84 in the 189 South intersection, close to Weeks Tires. In photos given to Fox 34, the suspect's vehicle can be seen with damage to its tires, possibly from road spikes. At this time, the suspect's identity has not been released, nor the charges he's facing. Fox 34 will update information when it comes available on our web channel, DothanFirst.com. Dothan police have arrested a Fort Gaines, Georgia man following a fatal hit-and-run Friday night. At around 9 o'clock that night, responders arrived on the scene on the Montgomery Highway near the Wiregrass Commons Mall. Authorities have charged the driver of the truck, Rashawn Richardson Jr., with 2 felonies, including leaving the scene involving a deadly accident. Richardson is being held at the Houston County Jail. Pedestrian Patrick Schaefer of Dothan was pronounced dead at the scene. The case remains under investigation. Additional charges may be filed. Coming up later on Fox 34, today may be Cyber Monday, but tomorrow is a day to give away instead of shop. But before we go to break, meteorologist Oscar Fann filling in for meteorologist Matthew Wine with that rather frosty forecast.
Thank you, news anchor Mike Gurspan. And it is rather chilly. I can say in about a week things will start to warm up a little bit for about 10 days before Christmas, but not anytime soon this week. We're into kind of the deep freeze for a while. We'll have the full details on that when we get back.
Now, your first alert forecast first on Fox 34 News at 9.
Good evening. Matthew will be back with you tomorrow night during the break. Mike and I were talking history, and we're old enough we can talk history, and we're part of it. This is what we're looking at tonight, 29 for a low. I had to go back up on the winds. I had called it breezy, winds around 9 to 17. About an hour and a half ago, they picked right back up and gusting in the upper 20s. So sustained winds still around 12 to 22 and not breezy. Windy. Freeze warning in effect as we go through the evening hours. Let's get this right button moving. As far as temperatures around the area, you know, Mike said earlier, the expected temperatures, did you say below 40 or at 40 in Walton County?
Yeah, below 40.
Yeah, well, definitely that's true, but that may be an euphemistic way of putting it because Defenac Springs is already at 39, only a degree warmer than we are. Away from the coast, everybody's going to flirt with freezing tonight, and everybody probably will be at freezing for Wednesday morning, except maybe right there on the beach. How many people are going to be on the beach Wednesday morning? This is what we're looking at with that activity behind, which is called the backwash of that front. A little bit of light snow coming to an end up in parts of eastern Tennessee, southern Appalachians. Now, these are the temperatures for highs from hits 48 degrees. That's pretty much what we're going with. Now, this one's more optimistic as we get into Wednesday morning. They're trying to hold us down to the lower 30s. We'll wait and see. I don't think so. I think probably we could be, instead of 27, we could be up around 30, 31. At the end of this, though, Wednesday, as we get in the afternoon, those are clouds approaching us. We'll see those clouds on Thursday. No rain until Friday, and even then it looks like very light rain, and much of that, if not all of that rain, will be out in the Gulf of Mexico. Cloudy tomorrow morning, this weekend, 58, but the clouds will give way to a lot of sunshine for late Saturday afternoon all the way into middle of next week, and we actually will have a warming trend starting in about a week. So freezing temperatures tomorrow morning and Wednesday morning, 27 to 31, and you see Tuesday it will be rather chilly even with the sunshine. Here's a tip: if you're out and about in your car, park it in the full sunshine, because even though you'll be cursing the cold air as you head toward the car, once you get in, that infrared radiation will make it nice and toasty. Wednesday and Thursday, milder. Clouds return in the afternoon on Thursday, then look for light rain on Friday morning. And as far as the weekend, it looks to be dry, and a few clouds early Saturday morning, then a warming trend as we mentioned next week. The rainfall, what I want to show you in the rainfall for the most part is that activity moving in from the west. The clouds will get here, but the rainfall you can see starting to kind of thin out a little bit. We may get about 1/10 of an inch, but that would be about it. As far as what we're looking at, what do we got here? These are the temperatures around the area, and you see already below freezing up at Memphis. There's the national view, which really the upper air pattern is going to be about the same for the next week or so. And as far as what we're looking at for tonight, getting down to 29 degrees, and the extended forecast kind of a chilly next several days, and then it starts to warm up about this time next week. Mike?
Well, you know, Oscar, you know, we have such a large viewing area that if you go down toward the coast, it's a few degrees usually, I'll say quote unquote, usually warmer than, say, if you go to Troy or maybe Skipperville or somewhere like that.
Yeah, but with the northerly wind set up, everything's coming continental source. In other words, you're not getting any of the benefits of that warmer Gulf water unless you're right on the beach. And like I said, well, if you're on the beach Wednesday morning, I salute you. You'll be a couple of degrees warmer, but you won't feel warmer.
Yeah, I don't understand who would be on the beach tomorrow morning for sure.
That'll probably be somebody.
All right. Well, tomorrow is Tuesday, and the Wiregrass United Way needs your help. The group is asking for donations that will fund its efforts to help Wiregrass nonprofits during the holiday season.
Don't wait. The needs are now. People, these agencies are being called upon every day to help more and more people. And so if anyone is thinking about giving, I encourage them to act on that, to go ahead and give.
And traditionally, Hill says the generosity of Wiregrass residents helping their neighbors in need is simply amazing. And next on Fox News at 9 o'clock.
Drug maker has submitted its coronavirus vaccine data to federal regulators. I'm Casey Stegall in Texas. We'll have that story coming up.
The Big Bang Theory, now weeknights from 10 to 11:30 on Fox 34.
And welcome back. Well, pharmaceutical giant Moderna is asking for its COVID-19 vaccine to be approved by the FDA as soon as possible. But Fox News correspondent Casey Stegall says it's not expected to have an immediate impact on the surge of cases anticipated over coming days and weeks.
Almost 13.5 million confirmed cases in the U.S., and the new coronavirus surge is not slowing down. But on Monday, we got one step closer to a vaccine. Drug maker Moderna announcing their candidate has been submitted for FDA approval and could get the green light in as little as 2 weeks. The company says the vaccine is over 94% effective, and there have been no long-term negative side effects reported so far.
In terms of significant safety concerns, serious threats to our health, we've not seen any such concerns to date.
The military is now gearing up to help with the distribution process amid growing concerns about the safety of the supply chain. Some governors beefing up security in vaccine storage areas, while officials warning about possible tampering or theft.
We're working very closely with the pharmaceutical companies to ensure and protect that supply chain and to ensure the American public are safe.
Meanwhile, hospitalizations and deaths continue to spike, prompting a growing number of states to impose new restrictions. Here in North Texas, at least 15% of the hospital beds are being used to treat COVID patients, and healthcare providers say their resources are being stretched thin.
We're still in a marathon. We're not in a sprint. We have got to all work together to tamp this virus down.
Vice President Mike Pence speaking with nearly every governor in nearly every state on Monday to help coordinate the first shipments of the vaccine. That's the latest from Arlington, Texas. Casey Stegall, Fox News.
And despite a surge in coronavirus cases, it hasn't stopped Americans from traveling for the holidays. This Sunday after Thanksgiving marked the busiest day of travel since the coronavirus pandemic began in mid-March. The TSA cleared 1 million passengers through airport security during the holiday. Infectious control Dr. Anthony Fauci warns Americans may see a surge upon a surge of new COVID-19 cases in the coming weeks leading to Christmas. He asked travelers to wear masks, practice social distancing, and avoid large groups of people. On Friday in Baltimore, Johns Hopkins University reports 200,000 new COVID-19 cases in the U.S. Coming up later on Fox 34.
I'm Wiernicki in Washington. President Trump has threatened to veto the $740 billion annual defense bill over one provision. I'll have those details coming up.
Name something a lonely guy sleeps with at night to keep him company.
Blow up doll. Family Feud, now weeknights on Fox 34.
And welcome back, folks. Well, military bases named after Confederate generals could be a sticking point in the proposed U.S. defense bill. Lawmakers are negotiating with the House and Senate versions of the bill, but President Trump has already threatened to veto the bill if it includes a provision to rename military bases. Anna Wiernicki has more from the nation's capital.
As lawmakers scramble to negotiate the final details in the $740 billion defense bill, there's one provision that could hold up the whole thing. President Trump says he'll veto anything that requires renaming the 10 major Army bases currently named after Confederate leaders.
The thought that President Trump would block it, veto it, over the name change to remove Confederate names from Southern military bases is really unbelievable.
Right now, both the House and Senate versions of the bill include provisions that would make bases like Fort Hood, Benning, and Bragg change to honor other American heroes. But the bills could still change before a final version is sent to the president's desk.
This sends a bad message, and there's been bipartisan support for removing these names.
This is a question of what values this country and our military stand for.
And Maryland Democrat Anthony Brown says the NDAA has been passed for 59 consecutive years. He says if the president follows through with his threat, it would be devastating to our military.
If he does, he would also block pay raises for our service members, critical funding to ensure readiness, and programs that support our troops and their families.
Once the House and Senate hash out the final details, each chamber will need to pass the bill again before it heads to the president. In Washington, I'm Anna Wiernicki.
And Christmas is officially underway at the White House. First Lady Melania Trump unveiling this year's holiday decor. The theme is America the Beautiful, though the First Lady says she wanted to pay tribute to the majesty of our great nation. The traditional Gold Star family tree can be spotted in the video, which includes a ribbon with the names of fallen service members. An electric train with the words White House Express 2020 is also seen. This year, the White House dedicated the Red Room to honor first responders and essential healthcare workers on the front lines during the pandemic. And with a little more than 7 weeks before Joe Biden is sworn in as the country's new president, his administration is starting to take shape. Key names and appointments are being made almost daily. Senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel with more on the transition of power.
Construction of the inauguration stage at the Capitol is well underway, a sign the machinery of government still hammers on. President-elect Joe Biden is set to be sworn in on that stage about 50 days from now, naming a committee to organize the big day. But President Trump, in a tweet Monday morning, still not conceding anything, writing, "I'm not fighting for me, I'm fighting for the 74 million people, not including the many Trump ballots that were tossed, a record for a sitting president who voted for me." The president-elect's construction of his new administration is also well underway. On Monday, Biden named former Fed Chair Janet Yellen as his Treasury nominee and longtime Democratic strategist Neera Tanden as budget director. Whether they ultimately get the jobs, though, could depend on the U.S. Senate.
If Republicans win the Senate, they are under Mitch McConnell, all of Joe Biden's Senate-confirmed nominees will have a much tougher time getting through.
Cabinet picks are crucial, of course, but time is tight, and there are many more jobs to fill.
They need to begin to identify which people are going to go to which department.
With COVID cases surging around the country, President-elect Biden has said another relief package is a top priority should Congress fail to pass one before the holidays.
We have a president-elect who has said, you cannot wait until I am sworn in. You must act. You must do something in December.
On Monday, President-elect Biden is also expected to receive his first presidential daily briefing, the top secret assessment of threats currently facing the country. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
And next on Fox 34, it may be Cyber Monday, but Hartford business owners on the square remind the Wiregrass to shop local. We'll explain next, but before we go to break, Oscar with the icy cold forecast.
You know, sometimes Mike forgets his medication, so just bear with him or whatever. Let's show what's going on right now. The front has exited the area, both two cold fronts. Had some decent rain yesterday, but it looks like it's going to be dry now for the next several days. But again, dry and cold, at least for the next couple of days. Details coming up.
This is Fox 34 News at 9. You're watching Mike Gurspan and meteorologist Matthew Wine.
And welcome back to Fox 34 News at 9 o'clock. I'm Mike Gurspan, and once again, thanks for joining us. The National Retail Association says the pandemic cut Black Friday crowds by half nationwide. But by the end of tonight, well, Cyber Monday comes to an end. Internet sales are expected to set new records. But today, businesses on the downtown Hartford Square say shopping local is especially important during this topsy-turvy COVID-19 pandemic year. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, small business is the backbone to the American economy. And you can truly see that here in Hartford. At the Hartford Dalton Pharmacy location, Monday morning is especially busy during the holiday shopping season. The family-run business started in nearby Slocum in the early 20th century. Local, local, local has always been its business model. The mantra takes on more meaning during these unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic days.
We really appreciate the way the people of Hartford have responded locally. It's been a tough year. Hartford's lost some good people. At times we've had to go drive-through only. The people have been good to us, and we've been able to stay open all through COVID. We just hope during this holiday season people will continue to support the local merchants.
Hartford Mayor Neil Strickland agrees that shopping local takes on additional meaning during the pandemic. In Hartford, the mayor says one can get what they need without ever having to leave town.
Hartford can do the same thing. We have a beautiful square, and there's going to be some growth in the cities. I know some people have been contacted, some local possible
Town Barbershop. It was closed for 6 weeks last spring by order of Governor Ivey, who shut down hair salons and barbershops statewide.
Yeah, we got the $1,200 stimulus check, but that just paid bills. I mean, pretty much. Because by the time you take the barbershop and then our home and everything.
And Hartford business owners say they're finding more and more customers wanting to shop at home or with smaller crowds during this pandemic. Cyber Monday has surpassed Black Friday as the busiest shopping day of the year. But with Governor Ivey ordered retail shutdowns in the spring, State Capitol reporter Jeff Sanders tells us what the Alabama Retail Association is doing to help.
For many Alabama retailers, Cyber Monday is the last chance for them to keep their businesses up and running in the year of the coronavirus pandemic. That's why they're asking you to go online and get shopping.
Like, this is the big part of their sales for the year in a normal year. There's a lot of businesses that can be anywhere from 20 to 25% of their sales occur in November and December. And if those sales don't come in, then they don't make their money for the year.
Nancy Dennis is with the Alabama Retail Association. She says many small businesses and retailers have been forced to adapt quickly to shopping habits changed by the pandemic.
Most Alabama retailers have online presences, and if they didn't have an online presence, they do now, because they've upped that since COVID started.
Dennis says restaurants have typically been hit the hardest by the pandemic. However, no one has been immune to its effects. But despite the hardships, online sales are up in Alabama.
People have saved their money, and they're not traveling. And so some of that money that they had, set aside for travel, or they have just been saving it during this time, they'll end up spending it.
But with less than 2 months to go until the end of the year and another surge in coronavirus cases, shopping online may be the last line of help for many small businesses. Now, for those retailers who are close to shutting down for good, their only hope may be another coronavirus relief package from Congress. But if it doesn't come sooner rather than later, it may be too late. Reporting in Montgomery, Jeff Sanders.
The National Retail Federation says online shopping this year could top $218 billion. That will be up from $68 billion only last year. Well, on the economic beat, Tyndall Federal Credit Union is giving their customers $10 million in cash for the holidays. Talk about a Merry Christmas. Yes, indeed. This is part of the Project Give Back, where they return profits to their members as appreciation for Tyndall's success. The giving back started last week and will last through Christmas. Members could receive up to $300 between that time. Deposits will be made every week until the final one on Christmas Day. CEO and President Jim Warren says the project is a way to bring comfort and joy to its members during this holiday season. It's starting to look a lot like Christmas, and these frigid temps are giving us that Christmas feeling indeed. The dip in the mercury can take its toll on vehicle batteries and create other issues for your car. Evans Automotive mechanics say the following tips can keep your car from having issues this winter.
Seeing your battery, your antifreeze, of course, and oil level, and the tires are the four biggest areas that you need to look for. And then, of course, the operation of your heater is important also.
And says if you're following online advice, make sure you have credible sources while you follow it. This coming Friday and Saturday, Fort Rucker will hold Trees from Troops at 9205 Ruff Avenue. On Friday from noon until 6 at night, Christmas trees will be given to active duty military members. And then on Saturday, the hours will be from 8 until noon. Trees will be given to DOD ID card holders, retirees, and military family members. There is a limit of 1 tree per family, and masks are required. For more information, visit the Fort Rucker Facebook page. And when we come back, the Wiregrass's top television personality, who could that be but Oscar Fann, would tell us if the mercury drop will drop into the 20s tonight and tomorrow evening. But in a heartwarming story, well, you'll see one community coming together to help put up Christmas lights for a veteran. Don't turn that dial, folks. We'll be right back.
Now, your first alert forecast first on Fox 34 News at 9.
Welcome in. Things are turning quiet on the weather front other than the cold air. 29 for a low. It's beginning to look like now instead of maybe a degree or two cooler or colder for Wednesday morning, we may actually go to the lower 30s. Whoa, big deal. Cut me a break, Oscar. But still, freeze warning both tonight as well as tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Breezy tomorrow in the morning. Nothing like we're seeing tonight. I thought the winds would die down to about 15 miles an hour this evening. They actually surged about 2 hours ago up to around 22, gusting to 28. So we changed breezy to windy, but they will be around 10 to 15 tomorrow morning, and by afternoon they should be below 10 miles an hour. And as for, not the temperature, the winds, 48 for a high for tomorrow, and then things start to warm up a little bit. Wednesday and Thursday, mild or sunny. You know, the thing is that when you get really cold air in here, whether it's 32 at night, 48 in the daytime, when it actually warms up into the 50s or the overnight lows get into the 40s, it's like a tropical heat wave. You kind of enjoy it. But anyway, so it's a good perspective. As far as Friday, may have some light rain in the morning, but last week we thought that rain on Friday would be about an inch, maybe a tenth of an inch, and that would be about it. Mostly sunny over the weekend after a few clouds on Saturday morning. And then next week we start to see a warming trend as we get into about Wednesday, but it will be on the cool side until then. The rain forecast over the next couple of days, for the most part, by the way, that word NAM, that refers to a particular weather model. This just shows the rain approaching us, and you see it gets kind of close to us as we get into Thursday evening, but then it kind of falls apart. We will have some light green over our area, but again, maybe a tenth of an inch, and maybe the more substantial rain will stay out in the Gulf of Mexico, it looks like. As far as satellite radar, you see that activity is moving off to the northeast, and the southeast, you see a little bit leftover activity up around Tennessee, northeast Alabama, and also into northern Georgia. Everybody should start to clear out later tonight. So freeze warning in effect again tonight, 29 for low. Northwest winds still have a bite to them, 12 to 22 miles an hour. And the extended forecast, you do see a few clouds showing up late Thursday into Friday, maybe some light rain Friday morning. I think most of Friday will be cloudy, even though any rain, say of a quarter of an inch or higher, would be along the coast. And then we get into the weekend, those temperatures will probably stay in the upper 50s, low 60s into about Tuesday, and then we'll start to see a slight warming trend as we get into the middle of next week. And that warming trend probably will last to a few days before Christmas, although that could change, and obviously we just don't know what the weather is going to be for Christmas this year. Mike?
You know, Oscar, last night when the cold front came through the Wiregrass, we got a lot of rain, but you know, down in the Panhandle especially, they got pummeled, and they had several tornado watches and warnings that took place.
No, we didn't have any watches, and we did have a Doppler indicated tornado warning between Mobile and Pensacola, and toward the end of the evening we had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings near the coast. All in all, though, we thought it might be a worse situation than it was, but that rain we had pretty much off and on during the day on Sunday kind of stabilized the atmosphere a little bit.
Right, and I know you and Ted were on the call. Indeed. Most of the evening, so we appreciate that. Folks, the Colorado community helped a vet put up his Christmas lights while he cares for his wife who has terminal breast cancer. Tom Thomas, his wife Andy, has some pretty awesome neighbors. In a message posted online, Thomas told his neighbors that decorating would be too much work this year. He said his focus was caring for his ill wife in the midst of the pandemic. Someone shared the post with Jacob Lewis, who decided that wasn't an option. He decided to put up the lights himself, and he recruited nearly a dozen people to help out.
Read the post and immediately, I was like, absolutely. You know, my grandmother had stage 4 cancer. She died from lung cancer. And honestly, I didn't even imagine the turnout was going to be like it was.
I went from being absolutely in the gutter to that night I was so excited. It's crazy because it takes me so long. So for someone else to come out and pretty much emulate what I do, I mean, wow.
Lewis says his efforts were a way to spread a little joy during such a difficult time, not only for Tom, but for the Colorado Springs community as well. Coming up next on Fox 34 Sports. Today, several seniors at Dothan High made it official. They're playing at the next level. Sports Director Michael Rinker shows us who they are and what sports they'll excel in.
Fox 34 News at 9 Sports starts now.
Welcome back, sports fans. The Dothan Wolves watched 7 of their senior softball players sign their letter of intent this evening. Starting the night was Maddie Anders, who signed to play at Wallace Community College, and she will be joined by Kate Hozid, her teammate, who also signed with Wallace. Then the twin sisters, Natalie and Nicole Turner, they signed to play at Southern Union College. And the final 3 to sign, they will be moving on, but alone. That is Jabby Terrell, who signed with Gulf Coast Community College, Andrea Harris, who will be playing ball at Lurleen B. Wallace, and then Rayleigh Thagard, who will be moving the furthest away to play at Chattanooga State. Let's hear from 2 of the girls about just how exciting the day was being able to sign with all each other.
It felt really good to be able to share this moment with them because most of us have been playing with each other since we were at a really young age, and it just feels really good to see how far we've gotten and how much we've accomplished throughout the years.
Us all signing together, we're all really strong. We've all played with each other for so long, and it's kind of, we came up together and now we're rising together, and now we're going to go move away from each other, so it's kind of tough. But at the same time, I'm proud of all of us for getting to where we are today.
Last Friday, the Abbeville Yellow Jackets were fighting to play in the state championship game, and after defeating an 11-1 Leroy team 60-45, Abbeville will now be playing this Friday at Bryant-Denny Stadium for a chance to call themselves state champions. It is only the second time the Yellow Jackets have made it to a state title game, and the first came back in 1971, where they would end up tying that game 0-0. This season has been an impressive one under first-year head coach LeBron Stewart, who came from the middle school level to become the leader of Hive Nation, but now his team sits just 40 minutes from leaving an unforgettable legacy. And to make it all the more special, this is the 100th season of Abbeville football. The Yellow Jackets take on Morris Hill out of Florence this Friday at 2:45, and tickets are limited and are available via gofan.com. Well, about 6 weeks ago, the 3-star receiver Rodarius Thomas committed to play football out South Carolina. Since then, a lot has changed in the Gamecock program, like their head coach, Will Muschamp, getting the axe. In the end, Thomas, out of Eufaula, decided to reopen his recruitment and decommit from USC. That was on November 20th. Then 10 days later, which is today, Thomas announced his commitment to play ball at another SEC school. That would be the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And in his time at Eufaula, Thomas racked up 1,900 yards and just 27 touchdowns in his junior and senior season alone. Well, once again, the Troy men's basketball team has had one of their games canceled thanks to the coronavirus. This Wednesday's game against Wake Forest has been canceled due to COVID-19 protocols within the Deacon program. The Trojans were intended to travel out to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for that road game, but now they will have to wait 4 days to play their next game, which will be Sunday when they are on the road to play UAB, and the school is going to try to add another non-conference game to their schedule at some point during the season. That's going to be it for sports, but coming up next on Fox 34, humans aren't the only ones feeling the cold weather. We'll see who else is next.
Well, guys, it's not only people who go to Florida warms up. Well, in fact, 40 sea turtles arrived in subtropical Florida Keys on Saturday after suffering what's known as cold stunning in the waters off of Cape Cod. The Kemp's Ridley sea turtles are considered critically endangered.
Hundreds of them were found washed up on beaches and were flown from New England to Marathon Airport in Florida. The local aquariums didn't have the capacity to take care of all of them, so a group of private pilots called Turtles Fly 2 donated their aircraft, fuel, and land.
That's great. Cold stunning is a hypothermic reaction that occurs when sea turtles are exposed to cold water for a prolonged period of time. And the turtles will eventually be returned to the ocean when they're healthy enough. SeaWorld in Panama City is on the vanguard of that. They do a heck of a job about rehabilitating turtles, whether they're caught in fishing lines, cold water, or whatever.
Dolphins, too.
Yes, indeed.
What's the weather looking like?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're so busy talking about turtles. And they will be stunned the next few days down there. 29, clearing, cold, windy. Freeze warning the next 2 days. Then quick look at the extended forecast shows pretty much temperatures down and making it 48 tomorrow, and then 50s, maybe low 60s a couple of days. Light rain Friday morning looks to be the only fly in the ointment, to use a cliche. But next week about this time, we start to warm up.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And, of course, you won't be here tomorrow night, but Mr. Wine will be back.
Yeah, Wine will be back. Yes, indeed.
Return, his much anticipated return.
I know you're his roommate. Did he have a good time in Kentucky?
I haven't seen him yet. He got back after I left.
Oh, okay.
He actually went to Texas. I don't know what.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited. That's going to be a talk when I get.
All right. All right, folks. Well, look, take care.
Hey, you know, the good thing about the mask, I don't like masks, but the thing I like, when you're out in cold air, you actually keep your breath warm.
Covers it.
It's very